What a life. That you have so many massive songs that you get to forget some of them.
I just leave the listing to some.
It's now being mourned by Nashville.
Cirrus SR22 Turbo crashed around 3 p.m. Eastern near Franklin, North Carolina. Pictures of the crash site indicate a vertical impact with the ground, suggesting a stall.
I'm always on your side.
I looked at your list of number ones. You have 27 and counting.
Something like that. I don't know.
A sudden tragedy has sent shockwaves through the country music world. On September 18, 2025, Brett James, the Grammy-winning songwriter behind some of the most iconic hits of the past 2 decades, lost his life in a devastating plane crash. For fans, colleagues, and the music industry at large, this news is almost impossible to process. Brett James wasn't just a songwriter, he was a storyteller, a creator of hits that defined a generation. From Carrie Underwood's Jesus, Take the Wheel to Kenny Chesney's When the Sun Goes Down, his songs didn't just climb charts, they touched hearts. James had a rare talent for turning raw emotion into lyrics that resonated with millions. Over 500 of his songs have been recorded, contributing to more than 110 million album sales worldwide. His influence extended far beyond his own recordings. He helped shape the careers of some of the biggest names in country music. Those who worked with him often describe him as generous, humble, and endlessly passionate about his craft. But while fans celebrated his music, tragedy struck in the most sudden and heartbreaking way. Brett James was not alone when the crash occurred. On board the aircraft were his wife, Melody Carroll, and her daughter, Merrill Maxwell Wilson. The crash claimed all 3 lives, leaving families, friends, and fans devastated. For many, it's almost impossible to imagine a world without the songs he wrote, without the energy and creativity he brought into every project, and without the light he shared with those closest to him, even in his final days. Brett James shared glimpses of the life he cherished most: his family. His social media posts, full of joy, laughter, and love, now carry a haunting weight. What was meant to celebrate life and connection has now become part of the story of a tragic ending that no one could have predicted. The music world mourns, and fans around the globe are struggling to come to terms with the sudden loss. But as we look closer at Brett James' final moments and the events leading up to the crash, the story becomes even more compelling and more heartbreaking. The plane crash that claimed Brett James' life occurred on a seemingly ordinary afternoon. But what unfolded was anything but ordinary. On September 18, 2025, James boarded a Cirrus SR-22T aircraft in Nashville, Tennessee, with his wife, Melody Carroll, and her daughter, Merrill Maxwell Wilson. The flight, intended to be routine, quickly turned tragic. Just after takeoff from John C. Tune Airport, the plane encountered difficulties that would end in disaster, according to reports from the FAA and NTSB. The aircraft stopped transmitting data at 2:56 p.m. local time, shortly before it crashed in Franklin, North Carolina, near Iotla Valley Elementary School. The precise cause of the crash is still under investigation, but the loss of life was immediate and total. All 3 aboard Brett, Melody, and Merrill were killed, leaving loved ones and the music community in shock. Eyewitnesses described a sudden, terrifying moment as the small plane fell from the sky. Emergency responders rushed to the scene, but there was nothing anyone could do to save those on board. The crash site, located about 270 miles southeast of Nashville, was quickly cordoned off as authorities began their investigation. The NTSB and FAA are examining every detail, from mechanical records to weather conditions at the time, hoping to understand exactly what led to the fatal accident. What makes this tragedy even more haunting is the presence of his family. Brett James, who spent much of his life writing about love, hope, and the human experience, was unable to return home to the people he loved most. The loss of 3 lives in a single, unexpected moment has cast a long shadow over Nashville and the country music community. The scene of the crash was heartbreaking. Neighbors and local residents reported a quiet, sudden shock as the news spread. Friends, fans, and fellow musicians shared their grief online, many recalling moments spent with James and the impact he had on their lives. Social media posts revealed a mix of disbelief, sorrow, and reflection, as fans tried to process how someone who gave so much joy could be taken so suddenly. And yet, even amid the devastation, there is a story to be told, a story of legacy, love, and the moments Brett James cherished most in his life. But this crash was just the beginning of a story that will forever be remembered. In both the music world and the hearts of those who loved him. Brett James wasn't just a songwriter, he was a force in country music. Over his career, he wrote more than 500 songs recorded by artists like Carrie Underwood, Kenny Chesney, Faith Hill, and Kelly Clarkson. Hits like Jesus, Take the Wheel, and When the Sun Goes Down earned him Grammy recognition and cemented his place in the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. Beyond the awards and chart toppers, James was known for his generosity and passion. Fellow artists often spoke of his humility, his willingness to mentor others, and the creative energy he brought to every session. His music wasn't just entertainment, it was a reflection of life, faith, and emotion, connecting deeply with millions of fans around the world. Even in his final days, James' dedication to his craft and his loved ones shone through, leaving a legacy that will endure far beyond this tragic moment. The news of Brett James' passing sent shockwaves through Nashville and beyond. Artists who worked with him shared heartfelt tributes, remembering not just his talent, but the man behind the music. Carrie Underwood called him one of the kindest, most generous collaborators she ever worked with, praising his creativity, faith, and humility. Tim McGraw, Dierks Bentley, and countless others also honored James, sharing memories of his mentorship, his laughter in the studio, and the countless songs he helped bring to life. Social media became flooded with messages of love and disbelief. As fans and colleagues struggled to process the sudden loss, these tributes painted a picture of a man whose impact went far beyond the charts. A songwriter, a friend, and a family man whose absence will be deeply felt across the music world. In the weeks leading up to the tragedy, Brett James shared glimpses of his life and the people he loved most. His final Instagram posts are now seen in a bittersweet light, capturing moments of joy and family that will forever be remembered. On June 16th, he posted a photo surrounded by friends and loved ones on a backyard deck, captioning it, "Such an amazing Father's Day." Just days before, he shared a selfie with his wife, Melody Carroll Wilson, on the beach, writing, "So much fun with my love in the Bahamas." These posts reveal a side of James fans rarely saw, the personal, loving side of a man whose songs celebrated life, love, and connection. Now, those moments serve as a poignant reminder of the life he cherished, making the sudden loss even more heartbreaking. Even in these small glimpses, it's clear how much he valued family and the simple joys of life, which makes the tragedy of the plane crash all the more devastating. Brett James' untimely passing has left an undeniable void in the country music world. His songs, filled with heart, faith, and emotion, touched millions of fans and helped define the careers of countless artists. From Grammy-winning hits to deep cuts that only true fans know, his music was more than entertainment, it was a connection, a reflection of life's highs and lows. The tragedy of the plane crash, which also claimed the lives of his wife, Melody Carroll, and her daughter, Merrill Maxwell Wilson, has made this loss even more profound. Friends, fellow musicians, and fans are grappling with the suddenness of it all, sharing stories, memories, and tributes that highlight the depth of his influence and the warmth of his personality. Even in his final Instagram posts, Brett James showed the love he had for family and the joy he found in everyday moments. Those glimpses into his life remind us that beyond the fame, awards, and chart-topping hits, he was a husband, a friend, and someone who deeply cherished the people around him. As investigations into the crash continue, the world mourns not just the loss of a talented songwriter, but the loss of a man whose creativity, generosity, and spirit left a permanent mark on country music. Brett James' legacy lives on in every song he wrote, every life he touched, and the countless artists he inspired. Though his life was tragically cut short, the music and the memories he leaves behind will continue to resonate for generations.
We'll follow up just as soon as the NTSB publishes its preliminary report.